I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service.
But I have been struck by how new generations have brought a similar sense of purpose to issues such as protecting our environment and our climate.
Today's episode is titled, Why Queen Elizabeth II is one of the greatest monarchs. In fact, it might be right to call her Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. This is your host, Britton Ambrose. Queen Elizabeth II is a phenomenon in her own right. Not just due to her position and title, but also the integrity, resilience, and stability with which she has continued to reign on the British Isles, albeit ceremoniously.
You can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.
Her relevance far extends the shores of the UK and beyond.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
Good evening, Your Majesty.
Lest we forget her status as the head of the Commonwealth, comprising of 53 sovereign states, and to add to that repertoire, her unequivocal popularity as the most famous royal in the world, and one that has stayed so for over 9 decades.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister of Canada, for making me feel so old.
Since her popularity began before her coronation, Queen Elizabeth has maintained stability for her family during a century that saw many of the royal houses around the world be removed from power. Although certain historians have been known to disagree with the statement made in the headline of this article, given that Elizabeth II's reign has been as head of state without any governing power, I must in turn disagree with those particular history chroniclers. Our current Queen's reign has encompassed a tumultuous century where most other nations' monarchs and entire royal families have seen a fate that has resulted in exile, removal, or at worst, murder. Given the changing times and attitudes towards royal families, Queen Elizabeth II could simply not have led as an absolute ruler without endangering her position, the continuation of the House of Windsor, and not to mention her own life along with her family's lives. One need only browse through recent historical records to read of the fate of the many royal families that do not exist anymore, be it the murder of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and his entire Romanov family, exile of King Constantine II of Greece and his entire family, or the cold-blooded massacre of King Birendra Bir Bikram Shah Dev of Nepal and 9 other family members in one night. The list goes on and on. Old royal kingdoms have given way to new republics, where birthright royalty is frowned upon and democratically voted leaders are welcomed. Hence, the continuing popularity of the British monarch and her House of Windsor are a personification of unicorns in the current state of the world and its leaders.
She comes from an era when it was not done for those people to be demonstrative in public. And sometimes she said after a day of meeting people, you know, I simply ache with smiling.
Queen Elizabeth has been synonymous with integrity, resilience, and stability in spite of the pressures of fame. During a reign that started at the young age of 25,
the Queen was anointed with holy oil and took a vow to continue as sovereign until she died,
which continues on in her 90s, making her the longest reigning monarch at 67 years and counting. The Queen has been synonymous with integrity, resilience, and stability.
She made a promise when she was very young, and it is something that she has remained true to all of her life and will continue to do so.
The pressure of fame is such that most succumb underneath the unbearable weight of limelight.
It's difficult to know just how anyone could have weathered so tempestuous a year with such patience and dignity.
Yet, not a single stain can be found on the Queen's personal reputation in a career that has spanned nearly 7 decades.
The story of Elizabeth II is a story of great sacrifice. A woman who dedicated herself at a very young age to duty.
For those that do not understand the brilliance of this, one need only look at the lives and careers of celebrities who have been famous for less than a decade and yet crumble, unable to withstand the pressures of their popularity and constant scrutiny. There are also Instagram influencers and YouTube vloggers that have deleted their million-plus strong channels due to the stresses of their newfound modern fame. And I say the aforementioned statement with full respect to those that have found it hard to carry on in the glare of attention due to their work in the limelight, not diminishing their achievements, but rather to provide context and highlight the level of difficulty a monarch as famous as Queen Elizabeth II might face.
It's very difficult being a queen because you have to appear to be modern and outgoing, and yet remember, she's been in that ivory tower since the age of 26. She's never been able to walk down the street and buy an apple.
Thus, we must acknowledge that Elizabeth II's stainless reputation deserves the utmost respect in equal fervour as the one she has garnered to conduct herself within the exposed life she has survived.
This is a happy day for me, but it is also one that brings serious thoughts of life looming ahead with all its challenges and with all its opportunity.
It's the words of a 21-year-old who clearly was already feeling the weight of responsibility.
I keep a diary, but it's not really a diary like Queen Victoria's, you know, or as detailed as that. It's quite small.
But you write it in your own hand.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think that's terribly important.
Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown.
So there are some disadvantages to crowns, but otherwise they're quite important things.
To those that say it's easy, she is royalty and has everything, one can merely glance at her own family members and relatives to sympathetically realize that easy is not a word that can ever describe the lives of those born in royalty.
As a mother of 4, Elizabeth was juggling family and her international role.
The Queen is truly a rarity in all senses of the word.
She has always put her role as sovereign above all personal concerns, including her children.
Staying for the most part within the confinements of good, in an environment where the press is usually awash with news on the royals, both good and bad.
Although the Queen's family was indeed royal, it was first and foremost simply a family.
To those that scoff at the previous statement and point at episodes related to her family members, children, or daughters-in-law, it might be wise to remember that her reaction to their state of affairs is vastly separated from her personal conduct of her own self. As an individual and concerning her path, she continues to stay unblemished, regardless of the infestation of difficulty her thread-like path has been strewn with. As William Shakespeare has so brilliantly penned, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Queen Elizabeth's impact on Britain's economy. To those that say, how has she added value to her country and incorrectly diminished her role to waving her hand at various events, I must correct them for the sake of a virtue that is largely missing from today's societal narrative, that specific virtue being facts. The Queen has added value to the British nation in terms of economy as much as she has in regards to reputation and respect.
One should not forget the extraordinary relationship which has existed between the people and its sovereign over the last 50 years and before.
Tourism income is hugely boosted due to the existence of a reigning queen and a royal family. Well, I might want to get more specific here. A popular queen and a popular royal family. There are many countries in the world with various unique selling points adding to their tourism, be it food, architecture for Italy, nature culture for Nepal, beaches history for Greece, or skyscrapers Hollywood for the United States of America. But the United Kingdom is one of the very few that can count their royal family as a draw for visitors from all over the world. Many who come just for the royals or their highly watched weddings. When was the last time any of us heard of the entire world's attention being captured by any other celebrity's wedding with the same passionate response, both good and bad, as received by the weddings of Prince Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales?
The wedding greatly boosted the royal family's popularity with the public.
Prince William and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, as well as Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. This popularity brought with it real profits to the British economy in more ways than just tourism. Tangible and quantifiable profits. Anyone with a sense of international deals and interests that extend away from tabloids and into more perceptive journalism may have noticed that Queen Elizabeth's involvement in major deals concerning the British economy's ties with foreign nations has been more than just decorative or mere hand waving.
As head of state, the Queen talks regularly with prime ministers.
There are easily sourced records that shed light to the fact that there have been many deals in which the prime ministers of the UK have failed, but the involvement of the Queen has quickly resuscitated negotiations into full long-term contracts. All those photos and videos which we have all gotten accustomed to, specifically of her international visits, have more to do with bettering the UK's economic ties and alliances with those countries than just increasing her personal following and fanfare.
She's such friends with all these leaders. She knows their problems, she knows their families, she knows intimate details about them. I mean, you know, whether their brothers just died or something. So they really feel that she genuinely cares, and she does.
Queen Elizabeth's role as a humanitarian. Queen Elizabeth II has done more for charity than any other monarch in the history of the world. She has truly made an impact that deserves respect in the field of charity and philanthropy.
I think she gets a lot of her shyness from Queen Mary. Same sort of uprightness and inability, and yet so caring.
Her presence as a patron of any charity brings to it a level of awareness, respect and funding that could not have been garnered otherwise. Over 600 charities and causes have had the honour of receiving the Queen's patronage, the impact of which has increased funding and raised donations amounting to over £1.4 billion at last count, and helped millions of people all over the world. In 2012, she carried out over 425 engagements in just 1 year, many of which were for charitable purposes.
The Queen travelled to India to award Mother Teresa the Order of Merit. On another occasion, she also presented her with the Nobel Peace Prize.
Along with providing extensive visibility to charities to help with fundraising, the Queen has time and again personally donated to causes such as helping the victims of the earthquake disaster in Nepal in 2015. Some of the many charities include Cancer Research UK to help children all over the world, British Red Cross to help people in crisis, Cancer Research UK to help cancer research and awareness, Blind Veterans UK to help vision impaired ex-armed forces and national service personnel, etc., showing the diverse interests the Queen represents, that is, education, environmental bodies, schools, universities, arts organizations, children's charities, professional institutions, wildlife, hospitals, social clubs, sports associations, armed services, and agricultural societies.
But small steps can make a world of difference.
Even in the 93rd year of her life, she continues to devote her time to giving back and supporting causes that help millions of people. Ups and downs are a part of any family's life, be it private or famous, common or royal, small or large, poor or rich, struggling or successful. The House of Windsor is no different. At a young age, Elizabeth saw her uncle's abdication, which forced her family unwillingly into the limelight.
The fallout from her uncle's historic decision to put love before duty was the pivotal moment in Elizabeth's early life. It would define how she would behave throughout her reign.
With her father stammeringly taking control of the reins and reigning as king. By 25, her father's untimely demise thrust her onto the throne, which came with its own set of supposed trials and tribulations beyond those that most monarchs encounter. Her sister, Princess Margaret's full of life vivacity and tendency to colour beyond the lines, frequently came into loggerheads with the Queen's ideals as an individual, sister and monarch.
It has been said that no two sisters were ever less alike. One reserved and proper, the other lively and controversial.
Her journey through her own children's highly publicised, dissected and tumultuous personal and marital lives was no easy fare in their own right, the details of which, out of my respect to her, I shall avoid repeating under my name. I have always considered it unkind for people to drag other families' difficult episodes through mud, and definitely so when done as a form of entertainment, and the royals are no exception in this case. Furthermore, the avoidance of gossip and scandal is also with respect to Hollywood Insider's mission statement to focus on substance and meaningful entertainment. Through the hurricane of media spectacle, she has stayed unflinching, stable and unabashedly strong as a guiding lighthouse, while having every detail of her family's life being played out in public with the constant presence of the press and the 20th century invention, paparazzi. Paparazzi have never infected anyone else as cruelly or fatally as it has the Windsors, which includes those that hold that surname by relation, blood, or marriage. Although none of the aforementioned unfortunate occurrences were ever due to the Queen, she has often found herself dragged into the center of it, albeit by association and her relational links. But I must state, never were any of those dark episodes due to her own doing. Luckily, aside from a few growing pains, she has fared much better with her grandchildren, who have managed to raise the popularity of the royal family to a 60-year high.
Oh, really? Please.
Boom. The sons and daughters-in-law of Prince Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales, as a solid group of four, namely William, Harry, Kate Middleton, and Meghan Markle, are household names the world over.
Family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes.
Oh, let's be clear. Much loved household names. And the children of that solid four have now captured hearts and imaginations in countries all over the world as news channels, publications, and social media are abuzz with the names of Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and the latest addition, Prince Archie.
Now to the baby news heard around the world.
Queen Elizabeth II will continue to be spoken of in the highest regards for more reasons than I could ever list. She is undoubtedly one of the greatest monarchs the world has ever had, given the set of circumstances she reigned under.
During the sad days after the tragedy of Diana's death, it is you, if I may now speak to all of you directly, who have seen us through and helped us to make our duty fun.
With the visible zest with which she continues to live, I suspect there are still further victories and triumphs to be attributed to her, be it in the name of leadership, charity, humanitarianism, international ties, stability, and of course, her role as a great-grandmother.
As she turns 90, she's a remarkably energetic and dedicated guiding force for her family. And I'm so glad that my children are having the chance to get to know the Queen.
I rest my case with the words of the future king, who is also her grandson, William, Duke of Cambridge.
She may be my grandmother, but she's also very much the boss.
As he has aptly put it, I think I speak for my generation when I say that the example and continuity provided by the Queen is not only very rare among leaders, but a great source of pride and reassurance.
God help me to make good my vow, and God bless all of you who are willing to share in it.
God save the Queen. Thank you.